Hi, I'm Ross Gustafson, and this is Tesla Volta Games, the video channel about ironic names and great board games. One of the most wonderful things about Twilight Imperium 3 is that there are a lot of options included even in the base set, which you can use to enhance your experience with Twilight Imperium 3, beyond just the basic rules introduced in the previous videos. In this video, we're going to show you the options found in the base set of Twilight Imperium 3, and you can use these to mix and match with other rules, like the base rules, as well as rules found in the two expansions later on. And you can get a lot more replayability out of this great game.
There are 5, kind of 6, variant rule sets. Technically, the 3 to 5 player game setups are considered rules variants, but they really aren't. So excluding that, there are actually 5 variant rules. First, the Long War. 2, Age of Empire. 3, Distant Suns. 4, Leaders. And 5, Sabotage Runs. The Long War is the simplest. As it sounds like, it makes the game longer. The players no longer use the 10 victory point side of the score track, but the 14-point track. As well, use 8 Stage 1 public objective cards and 5 Stage 2 public objective cards, in addition to the Imperium Rex card, and arrange them in the same manner as a 10-point normal game. You could always remove the Imperium Rex card if people agree to it during the setup, and force the game to end at the end of the status phase when all cards have been revealed. It really comes down to what you and your group decide to do. A note about game length. For normal games, I recommend using 1.5 hours per player as an indicator of how long the total game length estimation to be. So for a 4-person game would likely be 6 hours or less. A 6-player game would be 9 hours or less. If adding the Long War, add an additional 2 to 3 hours on top of that estimation of game length. The second variant is the Age of Empire variant. What this does is allow players to see all the public objective cards openly in a line in order with a counter of some sort to count the turn the game is at. Any strategy cards which state cards must be chosen or revealed have those portions ignored. Draw the cards of the deck at the setup of the game and stop when the game over card is reached. This means in a normal game there should be 7 to 10 cards open face. The turn token starts on the leftmost card. At the end of each status phase, move the token to the card on its right. Do this until the turn token lands on the Imperium Rex card. Then it is game over. The player with the highest number of points wins, with the usual tiebreakers just in case of a tie. This variant allows players to come up with a long-term strategy. Game rounds 1 and 2, players can only claim Stage 1 objective cards and their secret objectives. On game rounds 3 or later, players can claim any objective card. Just like in the normal rules, you normally can only claim 1 public objective per round. The third variant option is Distant Suns. This allows players to add an exploration aspect to the game. There are Distant Sun counters, which are used to put secretly on every non-home world planet in the game face down. The remainder are placed back in the TI-3 box. The Distant Sun counters, which are also known as domain counters, are revealed when a player either lands on a planet or probes the planet. If a player chooses to land ground units on a planet with a counter on it, the counter is flipped over and the effect is immediately resolved, both good or bad. If the unit is destroyed as a result of the counter, the planet is not taken over. If a planet becomes neutral again, it never gains back a token. If the planet is gained in other ways beyond planetary landing, the token is removed without it being revealed, and its effects are ignored. A player may also probe the planet. Instead of landing troops on a planet during the turn, if the player has fighter units, the player can look at all tokens in that system secretly and put back the tokens on the same planets. The player must do another activation later on that system to do planetary landings on that planet. They cannot planetary land after probing. If a player probes and finds the Lasix Survivors token, the token must be revealed. The player keeps that token in their player area face up, gains 1 victory point immediately, and 3 action cards immediately. You cannot look at the tokens again unless you do another activation and probe. The final usage a player can do with a token is to raise the token. If a player has a Dreadnought or War Sun, they can raise a token on a planet that is face down and has not been revealed yet. The player announces that they are raising the token, and the token is secretly removed without applying its effects, and planetary landings can proceed. The player needs 1 Dreadnought or 1 War Sun per planet they choose to raise. No ship can raise multiple planets during a single activation. If a player raises a planet on a turn, they must roll a die. On a 1 to 7, nothing happens. On an 8 to 9, they lose 3 random action cards. Or a 0, they lose 3 random action cards and exhaust all of their planets. If they raise a planet with Lasix Survivors, they lose all of their action cards, trade goods, exhaust all planets, and cannot vote on the next political agenda. So be careful about raising planets. Only 1 roll per activation of raising domain counters. The 4th variant is leaders. Each race has 3 leader tokens. They are different for each race, but for each leader token can be one of 5 types: scientist, diplomat, general, admiral, and agent. Leaders can be transported by any ship, don't take up any capacity, and can land on any planet. Leaders don't capture planets, though. They don't require transport ships to transport them, but any capital ship, that is non-fighter ships, can have a leader. Leaders cannot land on neutral or hostile planets by themselves without at least 1 ground force accompanying them. If they fail an invasion combat of a planet, they are immediately captured by that enemy's player. If a leader is killed in space combat, a die is rolled. 1 to 5, the leader is killed and removed from the game. On a 6 to 8, the leader escapes and is placed on a friendly world not under blockade. On a 9 to 10, the enemy captures that leader and places that leader near their player area off the board. If a leader is on a planet successfully invaded by an enemy player, or part of an unsuccessful invasion themselves, then the enemy player rolls a die. On a 1 to 5, the leader is captured by the enemy player. On a 6 to 9, the leader is removed to a friendly world that is not blockaded. On a 0, the leader is killed and removed from the game. If the leader is killed by any reason other than space battle or invasion combat, then the leader is immediately removed from the game. If the leader has nowhere to go when escaping, the leader is also removed from the game. Leaders cannot be in space by themselves, or be on neutral or enemy planets by themselves. A player may rescue a captured leader by successfully invading a planet of an enemy who has captured a leader. Once invasion is successful, roll a die. On a 9 or 10, the player may choose a leader to rescue. That leader belongs to the player that freed the leader. The leader is placed on a friendly planet not under blockade. If the leader freed belongs to another player, the freeing player captures the leader for themselves and chooses whether to keep the leader, return the leader, or kill the leader in the next status phase. If a player loses their last planet, any captured leaders they have immediately are killed and removed from the game. The 5 types of leaders each have their own special powers. The scientist grants a planet it is on that has a technology specialty a discount of 2 when purchasing technologies instead of 1. Planets with scientists can build space docks on a planet for 2 resources rather than 4. Scientists grant PDS on the same planet a +1 to PDS rolls. Scientists with PDS units cannot be bombarded by war suns. Diplomats can delay invasions of planets by an enemy by 1 game round. The planet cannot be protected by a diplomat 2 game rounds in a row, or during the remainder of a current round by invasions of other players. Diplomats can also allow their fleets to pass through enemy fleets if the enemy fleet player allows them to do it. Generals allow invaders of planets to reroll up to 2 dice during each round of invasion combat. Dreadnoughts and War Suns receive a -4 to bombardments of planets containing a general. Defending forces of a planet gain a +1 to combat rolls if that planet contains a friendly general. Admirals give Dreadnoughts carrying the admiral +1 to combat rolls. Admirals give an extra die roll for that ship the admiral is on for space battles. Attacking fleets containing an admiral can never retreat unless the enemy fleet also has an admiral. Agents are interesting as well. Agents can be sacrificed to act like a sabotage action card. Essentially, they can cancel a single action card played. However, the agent is removed from the game. An agent that is part of a successful invasion may replace any PDFs or space docks with any available in their reinforcements for free. Agents are also part of an invasion. Attackers may ignore PDS fire when invading a planet. The final game variant is Sabotage Runs. If a space battle is about to take place before anti-fighter barrage, if the one side has fighters and the other has a war sun, the fighters may choose to make a sabotage run and try to hit the thermal exhaust port of roughly 2 meters wide. To do this, the player with fighters must declare a sabotage run. If both players have war suns and fighters, then the attacker goes first, following by the defender. After declaring the sabotage run, the player or players with fighters commit the number of fighters to make the sabotage run. Roll a die for each fighter in the sabotage run. If a 9 or 0 is rolled, that fighter got through the outer defenses. Roll a die again for each previous die roll of 9 or 0. If any 0 is rolled, then the inner defenses is penetrated by a ship using the force... their wits. Destroy the War Sun. The War Sun is then destroyed. All other fighters unable to destroy the War Sun result in those fighters being destroyed. The surviving fighters can fight in the subsequent space battle. If the enemy has 2 War Suns, then the player making the sabotage run may split the fighters between the 2 War Suns. Just resolve each sabotage run one at a time. If the War Sun was not destroyed in the sabotage run, then all committed fighters committed to destroy it are destroyed themselves. This is completely 100% not a ripoff of any popular science fiction involving fighters attacking to find a small weakness in space stations of death the size of a small moon. No, Christian T. Peterson, this is completely original.
Well, there you have it. All of the variant rules found in the base set of Twilight Imperium 3. Test with it. Play with it. Mix and match the rules. Feel free to experiment as much as you can. And when you're done with that and you want to enhance your game even more, I would highly recommend purchasing, or at the very minimum, playing with the 2 expansions, particularly with Shattered Empire. If you have any questions or comments, feel free to add them to the comment section below. Also, check out the description or the video channel below for more links for Twilight Imperium related videos and other games in the future. I am Ross Gustafson, and we at Tesla Volta Games wish you fun and hoped we sparked your interest into playing better games like Twilight Imperium 3.